Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to answer if Nio stock is a buy, sell, or a hold. To answer the question, I'm going to look at revenue, profitability, and valuation. So let's jump right into it, starting with revenue. Excuse me. As you could see, Nio's revenue chart flat to begin around 2020 and then really jumped up in the recent years before in 2023 coming back down a bit. 6.96 billion in revenue in the most recent update. That's up from a little under 2 billion in 2020. So revenue has more than tripled in these last few years. At the start of 2023, revenue decreased year over year for Nio, but the company did launch several new models in the most recent quarter that are showing strong consumer demand, and so that boosted revenue compared to the same quarter the prior year. Nio is hoping that these newer models will spur consumer demand for the rest of this year. Nio is hiring more salespeople to really push these newer models to customers now that they realize that, hey, this is something that customers like. So it looks like Nio will return to revenue growth. So this little downturn here in the beginning of 2023 looks like a short-term issue. Longer term, it looks like the company will return to growth, which is good news for Nio stock investors. The next thing I wanted to look at is the profit margin, and again, you see a similar story here where Nio was rising and then falling, but this is more pronounced. Nio's operating profit margin was negative around 45-50% to begin 2021. And I often say it's okay to have negative profit margins, especially if you're a newer growth company. But what I like to see is this improvement, this progress towards profitability, which Nio was demonstrating in 2021. But in 2022, that reversed course. The company started to decrease its operating profitability, meaning the operating losses were worsening, and that trend has continued, negative 44.86% in the most recent update. Now, the company was investing to develop these newer models to bring these to market, and now that these newer models are in the market, hopefully the company can return to improving that profit margin, but that remains to be seen. Management said that its profit margins will improve in the third quarter and again in the fourth quarter. Gross profit margin will be in the double digits according to management in the fourth quarter. So management is forecasting improving profit margins. Now, as investors, we need to wait and see if the company delivers what it's promising. And so with companies like this that are losing so much money on the bottom line, I always like to check how much cash they have. And Nio's in a strong cash position. It's got $1.9 billion in cash and equivalents. So it's in no danger of running out of money in the next few quarters. And if profit margins do improve like management says they will in the rest of this year, it should be okay in terms of cash. I don't think it's in any near-term danger of running low on cash. And finally, I wanted to look at valuation, and I chose to use the forward price to sales. And Nio stock is trading at a forward price to sales of 1.427. The lowest it has traded for, or close to the lowest it has traded for since January of 2022, or in this time. Remember, Nio stock was trading at a forward price to sales of more than 6 around January of 2022. Now it's at 1.4. But remember, Nio stock was in a much different position back then, right? If I was looking at a company with, at this point in time, where revenue was growing, and as revenue was growing, its operating profit margins were growing and expanding rapidly, I would have been willing to pay a higher price for this stock because it was heading in the right direction very quickly. But now the company's not headed in that same trajectory. In fact, its profit margins are declining. So even though the stock is selling at a fraction of the valuation it was trading at before, I would not rate the stock as a buy right now. I would say it's a hold. I will wait and see if management delivers what they said they would in terms of gross profit margin by the fourth quarter of this year. If it does reach double digits, then I think the stock would move closer to a buy, because we would see this customer demand from their newer models really start to take hold, and we would see it demonstrated in the profit margin. And so then we could feel better investing in Nio stock. But for now, I would say it's a hold.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.